Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Channel 23, a program we call The Faces of Carlsbad. We're sponsored by Intrepid Potash, and today we're coming from the beautiful lobby of the Carlsbad Foundation. And it's always so nice to be here. So in the summer, it's nice and cool, and in the winter, it's nice and warm. So you can't miss. And our program, Guy and I always work to get beautiful women on our show. And we always come up with good-looking ladies. And today, a lady I've known for many, many years, Sybil Waltersheid. Sybil, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Bob. It's great to be here.
Beautiful weather.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Isn't this room pretty with all those beautiful paintings?
It really is. It's very pretty, very pretty. Carlsbad should be very proud.
You're right. Anyway, our program, Sybil, you've been a little nervous about this because you said, are you going to ask me any scary questions? No, I wouldn't do that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
But I do want to ask a few things.
Okay.
First off, where was Sybil Shepherd? I always get you mixed up with that beautiful movie actress.
Yes. My alter ego.
Sybil Waltersheid, where was she born?
In Pennsylvania.
Where?
In Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
That's over more in the central part of the state, isn't it? Or is it close to the Philadelphia area?
No. Southwest. It's not. It's about 110, 120 miles from east of Pittsburgh.
Oh, east of Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, my golly, I have not been to Johnstown, but what brought you to the West?
Well, I grew up kind of in Kansas, back and forth between the two states, and so I was kind of in Kansas for quite a while.
Where in Kansas?
More in the southwest area, around, well, Garden City, Dodge City, that kind of area.
Oh, I've been to those places.
Yeah.
I remember going down the street in Dodge City with a revolver on my hip.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like one of those old cowboys, except I didn't have a cowboy hat.
Oh.
No, I couldn't get one.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, did you go to Boot Hill?
No, I didn't want to go that far. I thought that would be the end of it. But anyway, let's back up a little bit, though. Your parents, where did your parents originally come from?
My mother came from around Pennsylvania, really she came from more eastern Pennsylvania. And my father, I really don't know a lot about him, so I'm not sure exactly where he came from, but it was somewhere around Philadelphia, I think.
I see. Well, fathers are strange, aren't
Well, they are.
Yes, mine was too. I did find out he came from Paterson, New Jersey, but what else?
That's kind of me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Kansas, too? That's interesting.
Oh, that's just kind of a really long story, but some of it is that I was going to go to nursing school, and a nun that I knew there, actually, recruit might be a gentle term. She said, we need so many to fill the class, so you will be reporting on such and such a date. So I was brought into this nursing program, and that's how it really started, you know, from just being there and getting in this nursing program. And I had been to Kansas for a long time before that,
Oh,
too.
you had been, huh?
Yeah.
Did you like Kansas in comparison to Pennsylvania, or did you like both states?
Both states are just very different. I love the Kansas wheat and the sunflowers. I just love that. But Pennsylvania's green. You know, it's very green, very pretty.
Yeah.
So
And both states get pretty chilly in the wintertime.
Yes, very cold. Yeah.
So you got involved in that. Now, did your whole family move west with you, or did you just do it on your own?
No, I pretty much was on my own then, you know, when I was going into nursing school, and I was just a child then. But yeah, I was pretty much out there just because I had traveled back and forth, and I knew the people. I knew people, I didn't, but most of the family stayed in Pennsylvania.
I see. Well, you were an adventurous lady.
I was. It was, you know, in the 60s, it was a heady time. Women were, you know, doing all sorts of interesting things, and kids were kind of wild then, I hear. I never thought of myself as wild, but, you know, they were a lot different than maybe some of the other, you know, quieter 50s and that sort of thing.
Well, the Vietnamese War, it was still going on then.
and all the civil rights stuff.
Yeah.
We had the civil rights, and so it was quite an interesting time to be alive.
Well, the country was in turmoil.
It really was.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me, more bad things didn't happen.
Yes.
You know, it was really quite a time to
Yeah,
live
you're
through.
right.
So.
And eventually, oh, by the way, did you have any brothers or sisters?
No, I'm an only child, actually.
Wait a minute. May I shake your hand? So am I.
Oh, really?
Yes. I didn't have a brother or sister.
I didn't either.
Well, I have a sister now. I was adopted by Julia Williams, so she's my sister now. But that's the only way I could get a sister.
Oh, I haven't had anybody adopt me. So, you know.
We'll look into that.
Okay.
I know just a man, Guy Lutman.
Guy Lutman, yes.
Yes. Yeah, he would do that.
Okay.
Okay. So, what brought you to New Mexico?
James Waltersheid, my husband, we met in Kansas, and he was working for a mixer. It's called Oswalt Mixers. They make silage machines, you know, how you chop up stuff to feed cows, and big in the dairy industry and big in feedlots. And one thing about in the southwest part of Kansas, it was then just starting to grow into a feedlot area, but it was really, you know, coming to its peak. And James was working for Oswalt Mixer, and we met, and we were, you know, we kind of progressively went into and got married, and then he decided he wanted to come back home and farm. And so we moved to
back home, meaning New Mexico.
New Mexico, to Carlsbad, because he's one of the Waltersheid farmers in the area. His dad was one of the there was, well, now I've got to think, I think there was about 5 or 6 of them that were actually farming. And his dad was farming but wanting to retire. His dad really wasn't in the best of health. And he wanted to kind of have his sons to come in and take over the family farm, or his part of the family farm.
Well, their family, they've been in this area for many, many, many years, haven't they?
Yeah, you know, interestingly, they just had a family reunion, and it's really fascinating, some of their stories. They actually, the Waltersheids actually, or the group that's here, actually came from Artesia. So they've been around here a lot longer, and they came to Carlsbad about 1917, 1918.
Is that right?
Yeah, we're not really sure exactly the exact date they came down here, but prior to that, they were up and around Artesia, south of Artesia, and moved down here because of the better, not necessarily better farmland, but more access to water because they had the irrigation district.
Oh, yes, right. So, where was James born? In Artesia or in Carlsbad?
In Carlsbad. He's a native Carlsbad person.
Well, you mean Carlsbadian, we'll call it that.
Yeah, Carlsbadian.
I don't want James to get upset with us. So anyway, and he's still in dealing in farming. Most of what? Wheat, cotton?
Alfalfa, some cotton. We've done chilies in the past. This year he's doing some wheat, some winter wheat, but primarily hay and cotton.
Winter wheat, that's usually planted in the fall, and it comes up in the spring, right?
Well, actually it's up now. You'll see out there as you're headed south towards Loving, you'll see a lot of green out there, and some of it is alfalfa, some of it is wheat, and some of it's a wheat hybrid called triticale, and it's really pretty. It's really green. It's
well, I thought I went out and paid the gas bill the other day, and I could see it was gorgeous.
It's a very pretty crop, and it's really a conservation crop too, so that when the spring winds come in, it doesn't blow the soil. And boy, we need that because it's so dry here.
Yeah. Has the dryness affected the farming business in this area?
Oh yeah, really, really bad. There's just not enough water. You know, usually on an average year in Carlsbad, we get 6 really good cuttings and probably a 7th, what they call a clipping, which is a short, you know, just not a whole lot, but really good alfalfa. And this year, I would say many farmers didn't get more than 3. So it's less than half. Yeah. Some farmers were more blessed than others, and they have pump water, you know, where they can turn on a pump and actually, you know, use that for irrigation. But You know, not everybody has that, and
No.
so, and they're very expensive to run too. So even if you have one, you're going to be, you know, you're really out a lot of money to keep them going. You know, the energy costs are pretty high.
Now, you were the wife of a farmer, and all of a sudden, your life changed a little bit too, didn't it? For example, you got a different type of job, from housewife to...
Well, let me tell you, no farm wife is ever just a housewife, except here's a little different. Where I grew up in Kansas, women were always out there on the farm helping some way. And I was really shocked when I came here and all these women are sitting in the house. It was like really different. And I really did help on the farm a lot. I'm really more of a, I'm not such a great housewife, you know, but I did have the opportunity. In fact, the libraries were the first places I came to when we came here in the early 80s. I came to the library and I met Mrs. Melton, and you know, we were just chit-chatting, not really ever thinking anything. And then I kind of went back, you know, and she'd say, well, would you like a little project or something? And I would say, okay, well, I'll just do this little thing maybe. And it just sort of blossomed and blossomed. And I worked a long time just volunteering, you know, just helping with things and getting book sales, you know, helping to get ready for book sales and things like that, which kind of morphed into, there was a part-time position, which, you know, changed into a full-time position. And so I've just kind of, I mean, talk about starting at the bottom. I was at the really bottom and kind of worked my way up there.
And you did an excellent job, because
well,
everybody's so pleased with you. Every time well, I'm in there every
Oh,
day,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I never miss a day unless I'm out of town. But, you know, when the phone rings, you are so polite on that telephone, and I thought to myself, I wonder, why can't more people be like that? Because some people are so grouchy when they get on the telephone, and you're never like that.
Well, I hope not. I want everybody to come to the library, feel good about coming to the library, and feel good about just calling the library for information. You know, I see my job as just really being representing Carlsbad every step of the way. And I always hope that I try to make people feel comfortable and really try to roll out the red carpet to visitors that come through. And
You do. Well, other than working desperately on the farm when you get home, and I'm sure James says, let's get this cleaned up, or vice versa, you know. What do you do to relax?
What do I do to relax? Well, you know, I enjoy being outside, and especially after being in the library all day. And my daughter, who's all grown up now, I mean, she's just all grown up, but she was really involved in horses. And for many, many years, horses were this kind of the center of what we revolved our life around. And those horses are basically on retirement. Plus, we've had some rescue horses. We've actually had some
you've rescued horses, too.
Yes. And horses that for whatever reason, they can't be ridden anymore, but they need some place to live out their days. And so they probably take up a large part of what I do, just to be outside and not necessarily riding, but just messing with them and just being outside.
Well, you know, talking about horses, Guy Lutman is good on a horse. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, he's very good. He learned that in England.
Oh, English riding. My daughter was very big in English riding for many years.
Yeah, this was fox hunting, you know. He was very good. He chased foxes,
Now, she's never chased a fox. But that jumping, I'm sure she and Guy would have a lot to discuss about jumping.
A lot in common, there's no doubt about it.
Yes. And Guy should really think about coming to the horseman shows, that sometimes they have them here, usually in the spring, at least one or maybe two horse shows in the year, and they do have English. Sometimes dressage, you know, the fancy prancy horses.
Oh, that's... How many horses do you have right now?
We have 4 horses and a donkey. And there's another one coming, so we'll have 6. Just recently we lost a big mammoth donkey. It was really a sad state of affairs.
Oh,
but,
I'm sorry to hear that.
We had, she was rescued too, And she was quite a delight. It was very sad when she passed, but we have a room for at least 6. So
where do you dispose of an animal that big when they pass away? Do you have a burial ground out there in the farm?
yes, actually we do, and it's getting rather full. But we do have it on our property. We do have what we call our family plot, and we run a backhoe and dig holes and put the animals in there.
It's sad to lose an animal, though.
Oh, it is. It's very sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad, and especially, you know, when you take a rescue animal and they've come so far and then they go. But I guess you take comfort in just that you tried to provide for them the best you could while you had them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
but it's very sad, very sad.
Well, what do you do in your spare time other than working out at the farm?
Oh, I like to work in the ground, the soil. You know, so we have a little area where we have a garden. We have flowers sometimes. We didn't do so good this year. It was really, really hot, and we just didn't have enough water to keep everything going, and that was really sad. And I really enjoy reading for pleasure. I don't get much time to read at work, and so I really enjoy to have a good book. And
what kind of literature do you enjoy reading mostly?
you know, I used to just like mysteries, you know, just solid mysteries, but strangely enough, I'm getting out there in nonfiction now, which is really kind of odd. There's a big push now in the schools to introduce children to nonfiction much earlier, you know, so where they learn to get facts books. Even beginning readers are now coming out in fact books. And so I guess that I started to read some of those kid things, and I thought, oh, I kind of got interested in the topics, and then, you know, kind of went to some more adult things. So I've really enjoyed some nonfiction.
Yeah, I remember when I was probably 12 years old, I went to the library in my hometown, and I saw this book about Martin Johnson and his wife who explored Africa, not to kill animals, but to take pictures of them. And I took that book home, and I couldn't stop reading it. I fell in love with it. And it was true. And from that point on, I was hooked on reading.
Hooked on reading.
Yeah.
And you know, that happens a lot, especially boys. They know that boys aren't too interested in traditional fiction books. Now, fantasy can often lure boys in, but traditional fiction is usually boring to boys. And so, and now they're really looking at introducing boys that might be at-risk readers to nonfiction early. So that.
But I still enjoy
A good mystery.
thinking back on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle
Oh, yeah.
and Sherlock Holmes.
Right, right.
That was my favorite of all. I read all four novels and 56 short stories, and I still read them. And another English author, Charles Dickens. I read A Christmas Carol every year. Even, I've been doing it now for many, many years.
Well, yeah, Charles Dickens is, I loved him too, and I read a lot of his. Bleak House is one of my favorite books of all time.
Yes.
But, you know, things have changed quite a bit since, you know, the sentence structure in those old books are very complex, and they're very hard to read, really, compared to the stuff they publish now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that the classics actually have a large following, although I see a renewed interest in some of the classics, especially like Kidnapped or Treasure Island or something like that.
Oh, yeah, Robert Louis Stevenson, another great author.
Oh, yeah.
All my favorite authors are British.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have an American author at all? Then,
Well, I've been trying to read, well, Steinbeck is pretty good. But I've been trying to read Hemingway, and I'm not quite into the same swing as Hemingway. And some people say he's one of the great American writers, but I've never been intrigued by him so much. Yeah. Maybe I'm going to read his books over again. Maybe I missed something. But we were talking about these young kids, especially boys today. They're not into the reading as much as they could be, or as we were when we were growing up. Do you think it's the internet that's changed the thinking patterns of so many of our young people today?
You know, that's a difficult question. I think the internet has definitely had impact, and I think there's so many other things to choose. I was thinking back to, you know, how busy the kids are now. They're in a lot of sports. They're, you know, going here, going there.
Yeah.
And when I was a child, we didn't have, not only didn't we have internet, but we didn't have TV. And what was the entertainment of the evening was to read a book. And I think now the kids all have their own things to do. They have not only the internet, but all their little games, the Wii games and everything, where they really don't have to have a book to read to entertain them. I mean, they got lots of stuff besides, you know, TV, radio, music, video games. It's just, you know, they just have a lot more choices.
Yeah, when I was growing up, you know, we had radio only.
Uh-huh.
And The Shadow,
Mm-hmm.
Suspense,
Mm-hmm.
and all those great mysteries.
Radio theater.
And your imagination could see exactly what
Uh-huh.
was happening. Little Orphan Annie.
Oh, yeah.
I owned all, I broke the code, you know, I got the Little Orphan Annie code pin and badge, but you really had to think on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't keep up with this new world. This has left me behind because it's so advanced. And I don't know, I'm not interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
I still like to carry a book.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people today have, what do they have, what do they call that book that you can read?
The Kindles.
The Kindles, yeah.
Or the Nooks, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, with every generation, there's lots of changes and lots of, you know, things. I know here at the library, we're really investing heavily in the new technology and to get the electronic books, the downloadable books, the audio downloads, as well as the e-books themselves, you know, because the younger kids, if we're ever going to get them, we need to get their technology and the way they look at information, you know, and they're just wired into the internet. I mean, that's their life, and it's very hard for those of us who haven't grown up that way. But I mean, they're starting little bitty kids in kindergarten, you know, the keyboarding skills, and they don't even really push handwriting anymore because
I know it. I was going to ask you, do they know how to sign their names anymore when they come into the library?
You know, many of them don't have cursive skills. Many of them are still back in the printing, and some people tell me that cursive is going to go away. It'll be a lost science, and I'm sure somewhere down the line someone will rescue it and bring it back. But you know, right now technology is everything.
It's the thing.
Yeah.
Do you ever get tired of people coming in and asking the same stupid questions? There's a guy by the name, what's his name, Bob Scholl, and he comes in every day and he's always bugging you. Do you ever get tired of people like that?
No, I really don't. I look forward to all the Bob Scholls who come in.
Oh, there are more than just me, right? Oh, great.
No. The library is for everybody. And part of my job is to make it a really positive experience. And whatever I can do to make that, I'll certainly go and really try to make it a good, positive thing.
Yeah. And then you can go home and look James in the face and say, I succeeded today.
I succeeded today. Yeah.
Now he gets up, he comes to the library every so often. I see him.
Yeah, he does, yeah. Actually, he reads tremendous amounts of stuff. And he, I don't know what I would call him, kind of like a ping pong ball or a pinball, you know. He reads so many different kinds of things. When he was little, he won the contest for reading the most books, I think, when he was in the 4th grade or something.
Is that right?
Yeah, he would be what I call, you know, just a reader. He reads everything. If he's standing around and looking at something, he'll go read whatever's there. Even if, you know, it's not particularly interesting, he'll still read it. But my daughter, on the other hand, was a very reluctant reader and still is. And it is interesting, and I can certainly empathize with the parents of children who are not readers, you know, because my daughter is kind of a she can't sit still very long. She wants to get out and do something and move around and get something done. And it's very difficult for her to, you know, really sit still and read. And so while she reads really well, and she did really well in school, but, you know, it's not her favorite thing to pick up a book. That would not be, unless it's a topic she's really, really interested on.
Yeah. Now, is she in high school or college or?
No, she's through that, and she actually works at Intrepid Potash.
She works at our
Our
sponsors.
sponsor,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Well, that's great.
yeah.
And what's her name?
Jenna.
Jenna.
Mm-hmm.
Did you come up with that name because James' first letter is a J and?
No, it was just a name we picked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go along with that. And all I can say, Sybil, is that I thought I'd call you Sybil Shepherd because you remind me of the movie actress. But I must remember that it's not Shepherd, it's Waltersheid.
Waltersheid.
That's an old German name.
It's a very old German name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's nice to know that James and I we could go back to the same place, huh? In
Yeah,
Germany.
probably.
Our ancestors.
Right.
Well, listen, thanks a million for being our guest today. And
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
see you at the library.
Okay. Count on it.
All right. And on behalf of Channel 23, all we can say is goodbye and good luck. Bye.